All righty. Well, that was fun. So it is your boy Jonathan Macri here with the one and only Benjy Ritholtz. Hello, Benjy.
Hey, John, what's happening? Good times.
I wasn't sure if you were gonna call in sick after that effort, but woo.
I thought about it.
Um, this season on the post games, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to be starting a few of these with one of our esteemed members of the team. Often will be Benjy Ritholtz, and then Benji's going to carry us home tonight. So I'm actually going to, since this is mostly your show, I'm going to start by ceding the floor to you. What were your thoughts about that masterpiece that we just witnessed?
This team can't win a lot of games with Julius Randle being awful. Like
that's high level.
That's freaking bottom line, man. And if you zoom out at the Thibs era, when Randle was good, they were a playoff team and very successful. And when Randle stunk for a year, they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Also, Andrew was asking where your mic is. Benjy, listen, Benji's he's like Julius. He could take a little while to get worked up to performance levels. I will give you a moment to get the mic issue worked out because so it's interesting because if it was my open tonight, I don't know that Randle would have been the first thing out of my mouth, if only because 4-29. Actually, sorry, no, they ended up 5 of 30 because they hit that last garbage shot. 5 of 30 from 3, 16.7%, and 32 of 92. Those are some numbers, sir, for 34.8%. And for good measure, what do we wind up with? 11 missed free throws, 10 missed free throws, 20 of 30 from the line. To me, the shooting, if anything, could overcome a game that is that bad from an individual player who the Knicks greatly rely on. This was the game, and this was the level of shooting that overcame it. But I have all the respect in the world for anybody who wants to start with Randle, because that was there a particular player plays that bothered you the most? Because I have two in my mind, and I'm curious if
No.
share.
I mean, there were a couple of plays that made me want to quit, but like the fast break for Max Strus comes to mind right away.
That's number one, and then there's another one which is probably an odd one, but
there was one where he failed to grab an offensive board that was in his hands. He just barely went for it. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about in the second.
Towards the end of the game, no. The other one that I was talking about was when it was coming down the stretch, and it was not a late clock situation, and he attempted a three. It was his last three that he attempted.
Horrible.
And I thought the process, why are you shooting it there after the night that you found?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the collective shooting. I hear that, but the Knicks have a lot of games. Not this, that they don't shoot this poorly, but there are games that they can win, especially when they defend the way they defended tonight,
which was excellent. We should say,
which was overall very, very good, and they can overcome it. But when your supposed second best player, again with your third best offensive player out for the night, so there's added pressure for performance here. When he goes 3 for 15 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3, and does not attempt a free throw, And the process throughout the night, he is so hesitant, and discombobulated, and confused out there. I don't know what I'm watching. Where did last year's Randle go? I know it's early. It's early yet. We're within the first 5 games of the season. There's plenty of time, but the concern level is slowly rising here. What am I watching? It was George Niang on him for most of the game. And yeah, they're loading up on him. I get it. But nothing he hasn't seen before. This was not some expert defensive performance by Cleveland. They're a good defensive team. They will be a very good defensive team throughout the year, no question. But there's no excuse. And then just the energy level's not there. In the first half, Donovan Mitchell goes nuts. A lot of his shots early came off Randle's switches where Randle just wasn't engaged enough. We're always talking about, we want Randle to switch. Well, if he switches, he's got to switch and not give up easy pull-up threes to the hottest player on the floor. The whole game was just so underwhelming. There weren't even a couple hustle plays or overpowering plays that.
You mean Mitchell's shots, by the way? I think you said DiVincenzo by accident, or maybe I just heard DiVincenzo.
I'm sorry, I'm a little. Yeah, I meant Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, really I figured as much.
And it was on Randle switches. So there's more to talk about in this game. There were more poor performances. To me, it really does come down to a total failure by Julius Randle in this game. Like one of the worst games I've seen him play.
I think so. There's two conversations to be had here. There's like the concern level for Julius Randle and other players too. Like Randle's not the only guy that I think, it has maybe concern level rising a little bit. Like, I'm sure there will be people who will be quick to point out that Jalen Brunson shot 8 of 23, not great. His shooting thus far this season has been, night and day from what we became accustomed to last year. There is a little bit more confidence, I think, that is going to come back. But the other, like, there's the concern level with Julius, and then there's the concern level for the team, and those and the Venn diagram there is certainly overlapping because, as you just said, not so goes Julius, or as goes Julius, so goes the Knicks. But it's like those two things aren't mutually exclusive either. They cannot, and we were talking about it a little bit on the playback tonight. They can't be a good team if Julius Randle is going to be this or even anything close to this. And I don't know. It's like if maximum concern is a 10 and like you start the season at a 0, like every time you have one of these games, it like rises another like half a point, And how soon do we get to where it's like, okay, we're above a 5 now. Okay, we're at a 7. It's like it starts to pile up, and it's I don't want to make the whole thing about Randle, although we certainly could. Here's a crazy one. In a game in which it was absolutely maddening to watch and one of the more frustrating Knicks games you ever see, I feel like we do need to spend some time at the top talking about Mitchell Robinson. Which, again, I know you love to gush about Mitch, so I'm just going to toss it to you and talk about Mitchell Robinson.
He was dominant. It's a shame that they couldn't win this game with the way he played. I mean, it'd be nice if he could make a free throw. So it goes. But like every offensive rebound is tremendously hard work for Cleveland. Like they have to send every defensive rebound for that. Every offensive opportunity for the Knicks is like you have to send 3 bodies at this guy, especially this team with Evan Mobley at center is just very thin and don't have a great rebounding personnel. So he was totally dominant. And defensively, I feel like he's taken a real step this year.
Yep.
In terms of discipline, in terms of deflections, he's just everywhere, man. And he's contesting everything at the rim. He has been the best Knick. It's not really that close so far. He has been the best Knick on the floor so far this season. And that's a really exciting development because he's, on some level, I thought maybe he'd kind of just become who he'll be last year. It's really nice to see continued growth for a guy who's still pretty young and figuring it out. And the discipline, he's not fouling nearly as much.
Nope.
Breen was waxing poetic about that he had 2 fouls, I think, in the last 2 or 3. I mean, amazing, 2 or 3 games. So Mitch has been phenomenal. Just one point on the Brunson thing. In this game, that dude was operating in the smallest spaces that you could possibly have to operate in. He was in a closet because you're already dealing with Mitch. So, they overload off of Mitch, and it's hard. Now you add Randle as a total non-factor, non-spacer, and you add Josh Hart to the starting lineup, who in this game was back to playoff levels of shoot hesitancy. It's like you got to shoot the 3. I don't care how many you miss, Josh, because the spacing is so bad in that lineup. When Randle's not shooting and scared to shoot and hesitant, when Josh Hart's not going to shoot, and you have Mitch out there. So, I know Brunson had a tough night from the field. I give him a pass because he was working so hard just to get these tiny slivers of space with the surrounding personnel. Again, it does come back to Randle to some extent. He has to launch threes and make some. That's how this lineup worked last year. He has to launch and make a few threes. If he doesn't and can't, then they're going to have to change something drastically, and I don't know what they can go to.
We should probably mention that the reason that Josh Hart started was because RJ Barrett did not play in this game, could not give it a go because he, I think it was a sore knee. I forget which knee, sore left knee. And I am sure that there will be a lot of conversation about the fact that he was not there and the Knicks offense looked like this. I think that is certainly part of it. I think they could have used RJ tonight. RJ has had success. Obviously, he's had success against his Cleveland team. He had a lot of success against them in the playoffs. But to me, this was more about Randle's issues, and it was more about the fact that collectively they just could not shoot. I'm happy you brought up Hart in the starting lineup because I had tweeted after it was announced that RJ was going to be gone that I thought Quickley would get the start. And mostly I was just going off of last year, which is basically anytime whoever was whether it was Brunson, Grimes, or RJ was out, like any of those guys were out, Quickley would get in the starting lineup. And he went with Hart, and I got it because Hart, I guess, is I don't know, he's more similar in size to RJ in terms of what he does, and you get it, and you keep, Quickley running the bench units the same and the whole thing. So I got it, but I completely agree with you, and I still haven't had a chance to look it up, and I'm going to look it up after the game. I don't feel like that 5-man unit, I don't remember them ever playing together before tonight with basically Hart in place of RJ. I'm sure they played together. It's not notable to me. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I haven't looked up the total minutes. I feel like there might have been some instances late in games, even to close. I think Grimes got some opportunities to close, and Hart basically closed every game, and RJ didn't. So I assume, but often it was Quickley and Hart, right? That was kind of the most common closing lineup.
Yeah,
it didn't seem like there was a ton of chemistry. Again, though, I am harping on it because to me it's the theme.
it has to be the thing.
Randle has to shoot the basketball, man, and he's got to have confidence, and he can't be getting into this hesitancy mode where that leads to turnovers also, and the processing's always not going to be great. So just got to launch, man. You got to shoot the ball, and you got to just trust in the process and make some shots. And yeah, you add Josh Hart to the spacing problem, and it gets real ugly. It gets real ugly really fast, and they needed DiVincenzo in this game. I thought Grimes was really disappointing. Didn't make shots, obviously.
I'm happy you said it because I think you're his biggest supporter.
Might be his biggest fan, but he didn't make shots, which okay, that's gonna happen. But they needed a little extra creativity without RJ in the lineup, something. And
completely
so
agree.
Often, and I thought he got his share of DHOs tonight, where Randle came off and gave him the rock, and he's just tossing it back to Brunson. There's nothing. You got to provide some juice when a guy's out that creates a lot of your offense, and he failed to do so. And that's DiVincenzo was the one that provided it. And from the beginning of this season, we've said, there's going to be fights for playing time between all these wings. And it's going to be performance-based. It always is with Thibs.
It is.
So, Grimes has to perform. He's got to perform. And if he doesn't, DiVincenzo's there, and he's getting better, and he's getting comfortable. Now, he had a good game. I wouldn't say he had a great game, DiVincenzo, but he
started great.
He provided
he started
a
out
big
really well.
Spark. Made a lot of big plays throughout the game. We know he can shoot pretty well. So Grimes has to be better, man. He's got to be better. Quickley's been playing great too. So they're all good. They're all looking for more minutes. None of them want to play less. I promise.
that lineup, by the way, last year played 30 possessions together. So I don't know, under 15 minutes. That's again not surprising. Yeah, I thought there were a couple instances where Grimes got the ball behind the arc and it wasn't. He didn't shoot because he didn't have enough room to shoot, but it also wasn't a clear put the ball on the floor situation and drive to the hoop. And defenders are able to fluster him. And I feel like he could use a dribble move or something. You'd be a better person to talk about it than me because I haven't played the sport like you have. But that's why when people are we need to get Grimes more usage, I agree, more shots, but the shots that he thrives on, trying to make him into RJ Barrett or even Immanuel Quickley or Donte DiVincenzo, that to me is he has not shown the ability to do that yet. But maybe that's there and we're just not seeing it. I don't know.
No, there's some chicken and egg, right? You can only grow and if you get those opportunities, and he
for sure
doesn't get them very often. I thought tonight he really had some opportunity to make some plays and just didn't make them, and that was disappointing. They needed some juice and they didn't get any.
Trying to think if there's anything else to hit on that we haven't already. I feel like we kind of tackled all the big stuff. Talked about RJ, mentioned DiVincenzo. Quickly had a nice game.
Yep.
Like everybody else, couldn't hit a shot. I thought he made some Immanuel Quickley plays that were good. McBride had some moments. Always nice. Be nice to hit a shot. But yeah, I don't really have anything else.
He fills in admirably when he gets a chance, and
he does.
It would be nice to make, but he's really, really good defensively. He makes a couple big plays offensively every time he gets out there. Quick was great. The one thing with Quick that happens sometimes is these possessions where nothing happens for 22 seconds and he has the ball for all of it.
Yeah.
Like, it does happen to him sometimes, and it's frustrating. And like, sometimes you just got to get off it. You just got to get off it and get the next guy going.
Yeah.
That's always the thing with me for Quick. It's just like making sure that your possessions are always maximized. Sometimes he can waste a possession or two throughout a game. Yeah, I'm not worried about Brunson yet. Like I think,
I'm not either.
I think he's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna come around for him. I actually thought I thought, considering what was placed on him in this game, which was basically when he was out there with starting lineup, create every shot because nobody else will. I thought he performed decently, and he took like 4 charges.
Yes, he did. He did take 4
literally
charges.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
This game was ugly as hell. It looked every bit of a back-to-back against the same team, with both teams being banged up as like that. It wasn't a good basketball game. It was ugly. Mitchell ran out of steam, was terrible in the second half until made a couple big ones late.
Yep.
You know, you zoom out and it's like, okay, you split against Cleveland. It's not the worst
That's
thing
what
in the world. You had to
that's
get
what I
one.
wanted to end on.
You
like,
had to get one, right? And it is what it is. It's just the way this kind of went down was very disappointing.
That's exactly it. And like, to get tonight, you had an opening tonight.
Yep.
Back to back, the whole thing, no RJ. You still had the opening, and it would have given you, and this is kind of what I talked about towards the end of the watch along, to that cushion. It's like, okay, you now got to go into Milwaukee, and then from there you play against the Clippers and what's going to be James Harden's debut. And I don't think either of those games are going to be picnics, to put it lightly. So it would have been nice to get to 3-2 by hook or by crook. Didn't get there. Look, this team had its metal tested a lot last year, and they're going to have their metal tested again. That's really all I got. So I think I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, get some sleep, enjoy the rest, enjoy the night off. I'll handle it from here. Can't wait to see. I'm sure there's going to be nothing about Julius Randle in the chat. I'm sure of it. I feel like I've already said everything that needs to be said, but here we go.
Oh, I'm sure people will say some things.
Can I actually get us started with one super chat before John goes? Speaking of,
boy.
This is literally the first super chat. I wonder who Andrew P is talking about. Benjy, read it.
What an awful player and awfully run offense.
A lot of that tonight, so don't worry.
It's not nice to Deuce McBride. He wasn't so bad.
Terrible.
Alrighty, John.
Your
Thanks,
show,
John.
Benjy.
All right. See you later. Thanks for this one. Great.
Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Sorry about the tech issues. It's been a long night in a lot of different ways, but I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm ready to answer your questions, address your comments, ease your concerns, or not. Who knows? Andrew P., thank you for the contribution, sir. Perhaps EF, and I believe that refers to Evan Fournier. The first Fournier reference. I believe his shooting could have helped the starting 5. Yeah, it could have helped them offensively, for sure. You're not getting the defensive performance you got from the Knicks tonight with Evan Fournier out there. It's a trade-off. You're right, Evan Fournier can really shoot the ball. This team has proven over at least a half a year, or more than that, since Fournier left the rotation, that they can be a very good team without him. The personnel hasn't changed all that much, right? Like, DiVincenzo is not the problem here. So yeah, he's an excellent shooter. He could have helped. Don't deny it. But like, at the end of the day, I think the formula can still work if the personnel performs at the level at which they have to perform. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's a fair point. I don't really agree that was the move tonight. Let's give it some more time for a team that's proven itself over a decent sample size now. Thanks, Andrew. Robert Cross, my friend, how are you, sir? Robert says, and this crap is on stubborn Thibs too. Coach is part of every win. The coach is part of every loss. No doubt. I'm not really totally certain what he was supposed to do tonight. You're going to bench Randle in the 5th game of the season? Robert continues. Inexplicable that Julius was put back in the game in the 4th quarter. You're going to need this guy, Robert. You're going to need this guy. Whether you like it or not, and I know you don't like it, you're going to need Julius Randle. And, like, you can't start pulling him. We know he's a bit of a fragile personality. You can't start pulling him from games in the 5th game. And look, one thing I will say is by trading Obi Toppin, it was a bet on the consistency of Julius Randle. That's a scary thought. Like, you are going to need the size of Randle. Like, it's a small team. So, like, Randle's essential. He's essential. He's more essential now than he's ever been. And you got to get him going. And they got to figure it out. And the only way you can, benching him I don't think is gonna be the solution. Hopefully, it's a film session tonight or tomorrow. Robert continues. It is time for RJ to overtake number 30 as the second option. It is better for the Knicks in the short and long term. Yeah, so look, RJ, I think you could argue, has been the second option so far this season. I haven't looked at the usage numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's close. If RJ isn't above, he's certainly scoring more than Randle right now. I think it has less to do with second and third option and more to do with, like, Randle needs to find himself. Like, I'm fine if RJ ends up with more usage than Randle and scores more than Randle. Great, but Randle's got to become a productive NBA player again. And again, it's a small sample. Not going to panic, but I am starting to worry. I am definitely starting to worry. Because we know from experience that this can snowball with Julius Randle. Like, it can. So let's hope we don't get like a thumbs down incident coming up. He's got to figure it out. JN, thank you for the contribution, Jay. We appreciate it. Unacceptable to not have Grimes in there for D on Mitchell down the stretch. TDV was getting cooked and cooked off since first half. Also get Julius on a one-way flight to Minnesota for Cat. All right, I mean, on the Grimes point, like, Grimes was guarding him the whole first half. I mean, whenever Grimes was out there, he was guarding Mitchell. And it didn't go great. I mean, a lot of it was on switches with Randle, but, like, Mitchell had his way. I thought, the second half, Mitchell was terrible, and he made, DiVincenzo tried to ice his screen. Mitchell crossed over, made the big three to kind of ice the game. Okay. Grimes didn't have a good night. They needed DiVincenzo out there. Like, he was providing some offense. They couldn't freaking score. Defense wasn't the issue. So I don't quite agree with that, Jay. Like, Grimes is the better defender. I agree with that. But they needed DiVincenzo's offense desperately tonight. And his movement. Like, he was the only guy opening anything up. Little crevices in the defense. So I'm not with you there that they should have had Grimes in late. And everyone here knows that I am Quentin Grimes, like, #1 fan. Love that man. But, like, didn't have a great night. Other guys had a better night. And it's going to be competitive out there for those minutes. As to getting Julius on a one-way flight to Minnesota for Cat, I had a feeling that if we ever had Cat, if he ever got here after the 30,000 rumors that we've heard, I have a feeling that in many of these post games there would be many chats complaining about Karl Anthony Towns. Trust me. Like, he's really talented. So is Julius. He comes with his own set of issues, man. Like, careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for, Jay. That's all I'm going to say on that. It's not going to happen, but also, well, careful what you wish for. All right, let's get the next one up here. Dead Words 604. Cool name. Thanks for the contribution, sir. Concerned about JB and JR's bad shooting, but RJ was sorely missed, and thinking of him as an X factor is kind of exciting as a fan. I am concerned about JR's bad shooting. I am less concerned about JB's poor-ish shooting. I think different levels of bad shooting, first of all. Second of all, Jalen Brunson's always been a good shooter all the time, every year, on every level that he's ever played at. And that's not true of Julius Randle, who's had bad shooting years, right? So, like, I think there's a different level of concern there, and I think Jalen Brunson's gonna bounce back. I just do. I have full confidence in him. Julius, I don't have full confidence because he hasn't given me reason to have full confidence. RJ was sorely missed, man, and what, you know what? I agree with this. Like, it felt good to feel his absence in a way. Like, I need this guy's creativity off the dribble, his paint touches, hell, his shooting compared to Josh Hart. Like, sometimes when we're down on RJ, we're like, well, if you replaced him with XYZ, like, would the team really suffer? You saw tonight, they need him. They need him. They need his size. They need his strength. They need his penetration game. They need his shooting. You felt it badly, especially if Randle's having a night like tonight. RJ is the one that picks up some of that slack. And they needed him badly. Thanks, Edwards. Colin Reardon. How are we doing, Colin? Thanks for the chat. Type of game that drives you insane? Insane! In all caps. Yeah. It was miserable. It was a very, very ugly, ugly basketball game. And one the Knicks very easily could have won if they made a couple damn shots. Because they really defended at a high level tonight. They really did. The defense continues to impress. The question is going to be that third-ranked offense last season. Was it a fluke? Can they make enough shots? Is Randle going to have a every other year kind of year? The offense is the question right now. The defense looks good, especially because Mitch, I think, has really cleaned up a lot of his bad habits, and he looks great. Looks great on the defensive end. Thanks, Colin. Hamdi, how you doing, Hamdi? Trying to remind myself of all the bad losses from last year so I don't go crazy this year. It's not working, John. John. I'm sure John is watching and is thinking the same thing. But I am not John. But I can address your point. They did have some bad losses last year. It's true. And this one probably wouldn't even rank in the top 5. So, again, you zoom out and like try not to get too caught up in the ugliness of this particular basketball game. And they split with the Cavs. It's hard to win 2 against a good team. I know they were missing some key guys. It's still a good team. We were missing one of our key guys, just like they were. It's not the end of the world. It's not. Like, this isn't like you didn't lose to the Detroit or something. That's the end. That's panic, but this is not panic. And it's no reason to get crazy. Again, I think the only lasting concern I have from this game is Julius Randle. That's the only thing I walked away from. Everything else is going to sort itself out, I think, with this team. And they're doing a lot of the things they need to do to win. Defend, offensive rebound dominance. DiVincenzo starting to get comfortable and fit in. IQ looks just the same. Looks like one of the best bench players in the league. Josh Hart maybe struggling a bit this year to find his way with some more of the competition at his spot and a bit reduction in minutes, trying to find it. So a little worried about that. That's a concern going forward, I would say. But like otherwise, like Hartenstein's been great. Like a lot of things to be excited and happy about with this team right now. A lot of reasons to be encouraged. But again, if Julius Randle isn't good, none of it's happening. Not winning high 40s. Not winning 50 for sure. If Julius Randle is not good this year, it's going to be a tough year. Like, I hate to make it that simple, but it is that simple. Your stars need to play well. That is a concern. Robert's back. Hey, Robert. On a positive note, Godman is indispensable. Godman. Godman for All-Star Game push begins right now. For those who don't know, Godman is apparently Mitchell Robinson. And he is indispensable. He's not going to make the All-Star Game, but he is indispensable. An all-defensive team isn't crazy. I don't think it's going to happen. A lot of good centers out there on defense. A lot of good defensive players in the league. But that's not out of reach. If he keeps going on this rate, in order for him to make an all-defensive team, the Knicks will have to be like a top 5 defense, I think. And right now they're like right there, so not out of the question to me. And that would be amazing if he could nab a spot on one of those all-defensive teams. That would be a real confirmation of the growth and like really cool for Knicks fans, I think. Like that this guy who they got is like a super raw product. He's kind of stuck around. He's been here for a long time already, and he becomes that kind of level player. That would be really cool. Thanks, Robert. Drew P, what's up, Drew? Love Mitch's play. Will RJ be our second option? Yeah, so someone mentioned that already. I would argue he has been your second option this year. That's fine, but Julius is still going to have to play well. Like, it can't be the second option because Julius is shooting 3 for 15 every night. It has to be the second option because Julius maybe cuts down on his volume a bit, but is doing other things. Or Julius just cleans up and takes only the shots that, that he feels like, he becomes a higher percentage shooter because he's taking less shots and RJ is taking more of that load. That's the only way this works. RJ becoming the second option and Julius stinking, not going to work. He's your only power forward. You're not a big team. He's going to have to play. He's really important to what they do. He's not going anywhere as far as I know. And I know he's frustrating to root for, and trust me, like, he drives me crazy. But he's gonna have to perform. And we're gonna have to wait for it. Yeah, RJ can be the second option. I'm fine with that. If RJ makes a kind of leap where he's like the unequivocal second option on this team, that's great. That's a great development. It just can't be because Julius is sunk to the floor of this league. So we'll see. Thanks, Drew. Ja so focused. How we doing, Ja? What a weird game. This is probably my last one, John. You're not John. I'm still not John, but I get it. And John would probably answer this the same way that I'm going to. Don't think I'm staying up for this one. Have a good night and don't overreact. Oh, it's not even a question. It's just a comment. Yeah, it was a weird game. It was a weird and ugly game. I see. You're not staying up for the post game. I got it. Oh, well, maybe you're still here. Maybe you're not. You can listen to the podcast tomorrow. You can watch the YouTube tomorrow. You have a good night as well, Ja. It's a good perspective. You're a positive guy, and we appreciate it here at KFS. Thanks, Ja. Handy's back. Sorry I meant Benjy. No worries, man. John's usually on here, in fairness, like every night. Nice to see you, my friend. What's going on with Randle's shot? Oh, man. I think he's just got to let it go, man. I really do. With Randle, it's just like, keep shooting it. There were nights last year where Randle went like 0 for 8 from 3. I remember them. But he's got to shoot 8. It seems crazy, but I'm telling you, he's got to just shoot. Him pump faking and driving into traffic is the worst outcome. Him shooting a 3 and missing 8, 3 of which will get rebounded by Mitchell Robinson, right? Mitch is literally rebounding 35% of the Knicks misses. Think about that. You got to get shots on goal. In hockey parlance, you get shots on goal, you crash the net. That's what the Knicks strategy is. Get shots on goal, a.k.a. don't turn the ball over, shoot, and then crash the net. Go get the rebounds. Get traffic in front, right? That's what they need to do. And that is dependent on Julius Randle just shooting the basketball. The second he loses confidence in that jump shot is the moment that the offense is going to fail, at least in the starting unit. It was a huge part of their success last year. I cannot overstate the extent to which Julius Randle's three-point volume was essential to the Knicks' offense last year being as good as it was. And that's even though he shot 35%, 34%. Nothing great. It doesn't matter. Shots on goal, no turnovers, offensive rebounding. And by the way, if the shot is at least respected, that opens up the rest of his game. Right now, the pump fake's not getting anywhere because nobody's contesting. Got to shoot him. Got to get the respect back. Opens up the rest of the game. Go from there. That's what it's got to be with Randle. Guber then. Hey, Guber then. Thank you for the contribution. I'm 40 and seen too much of this team. I hear. The vibes were off since off-season. Reminder that no one else values 25 and 10 for their team for a reason. Andrew, any idea what that means?
So what he's saying is that nobody wants to trade for this guy for a reason. Because he's Mr. 25 and 10. Nobody values 25 and 10 for a reason. For their team.
Do we know? I don't know if that's true. There's probably a team out there that would value Julius Randle. Hell, there seems to always be a team that values James Harden. There's always a team, and then he gets to go there. Julius Randle has value. I don't believe that's true. Now, it might be lower than the value that the Knicks put on Julius Randle. That is certainly that's probably true. Guber then, you can't have seen too much of this team. Like, this particular team is pretty good. They're going to figure it out. Like, we've had some crap to go through as a fan base. This is like very, very low on the totem pole of crap we've had to deal with. They're 2-3. They just split a doubleheader with a good team. Like, I do want to take a deep breath, zoom out, very early in the season. It's interesting, actually, I think, that the frustration builds more quickly when there's more continuity. Because we've dealt with the same issues for 3 years now. We know what the issues are, and they're more frustrating because we've seen them, instead of for 82 games, we've seen them for like 300 games. And like, it grates on you because of that. But the continuity is also going to help this team. And like, they have a style that should work if they get to where they need to get to on an individual performance level. So I'd have more patience, Goober, then. Have a little patience. I don't think the vibes have been that off since the offseason. Randle does seem a little bit stoic to me, but I think he's working on just trying not to get too emotional, which is probably a good thing. I don't think the vibes are off. I think the vibes are fine. I think they're going to be okay, but I'll say it 100 times on this postgame. I do think Julius needs to perform better. That's for sure. Thanks, Goober, then. TK. 2 words in this one. That's me speaking. These are the 2 words that TK said. Julius Randle. Period. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've talked about Julius enough already, but we're going to keep talking about him because he is the key. He is the key, for better or for worse. TK continues, I don't know if I should be happy or sad that RJ is currently our most important player. He was sorely missed tonight for obvious reasons. He's one of our most important players. You can make an argument for a few guys on this team. The most interesting argument to me has always been Mitch, because I think the success the team had last year was so built on his strengths on both ends that you could argue Mitchell Robinson is their most important player, or at least their center play over 48 minutes is their most important position. Hartenstein's really good too. But I agree, and I said it already. Feeling RJ's absence in the way that we did, I think, is comforting in a way, and like exciting in a way. Like, hopefully the knee is fine. It's just like a little minor thing, back to back. They sat him, whatever, and he's back to full strength soon. All of us were super excited about how he was playing so far this year. Seems to have taken a bit of a leap. So, like, again, if RJ becomes our most important player and it's because of his leap and not because of others regressing, that's a great thing, man. That's a great thing for this team. Obviously. It's the homegrown guy. It's the 3rd overall pick. So, yeah, absolutely, TK. Kevin Danishevsky. What's up, Kev? Dubious Blandel. Thibs watching along. That's all. You could have benched him. I'm just not sure that's productive at this point in the season. Like, Thibs is watching. I mean, I'm sure he's trying things. He's trying to get him going. In the first half, they tried to run a little ISO for him when things were going poorly. It ended up with a flailing, terrible shot. But, like, they're trying to get him going. And I just think, I feel like benching him at this stage of the season is very counterproductive. With a bit of a fragile player. And I would be hesitant to do that also at this point. Julius has brought Thibs a lot of success. Thibs has brought Julius a lot of success. 2 All-NBA teams. 2 playoff appearances for Thibs. Like, there's a relationship there, obviously, and there's, I think, sometimes a bit of an enabling relationship, but there's a relationship there that's important to this team. It's okay to not like Julius's style or not like Julius as a player, but you have to recognize his importance to their success. At the end of the day, like, they're not going anywhere without him unless they trade him for something that's going to help this team. So we got to root for him and hope he turns it around. Dom the dentist. I come from a family of dentists, Dom, and I'm sure you're a great dentist. And he says, wear Nikes again. Grow the hair back. Anything. Yeah, the Skechers might have to go. the Skechers might have to go. I'm going to make a confession. I'm not an AI guy. I don't know how to use it. But I tried. I was going in a couple of the different generators, AI generators, and I tried to get a prompt of like Julius throwing Skechers in a trash can because I thought it would be a funny tweet, and the AI was just not doing the job. No, not Allen Iverson. Not Allen Iverson, Claudio. I meant like artificial intelligence. I was trying because I thought it would have been funny. If anyone can do it, if anyone's got like a good AI prompt and can get it, please send it over to me. I will retweet if it's good because I think it's a funny concept. The Skechers might need to go. Get this man his Kobe's back. Good God. Juanon. What's up, Juanon? Thanks for the contribution, man. Still confused about your name. You'll have to explain it to me one time. 17% from 3 as a team and 20% on 15 shots from Randle isn't going to work. How do we fix this offense, Benjy? Outside trading 30. More pin downs and off ball screens. Talk me off the ledge, please. Performance. Stars need to play well. I've on many platforms and I've talked a lot about how I think this offense could improve on a process level. I am humble enough to recognize, however, that the offense worked last regular season to an amazing degree. So no one can convince me that now they're going to score 85 points because of the system. No. They have to make shots, and Julius Randle can't play like Anthony Randolph. I can't fix again, yes, more off-ball work, play through Hartenstein more, screen with the guards more, go screening, all the stuff that I think they could do that could utilize to free some guys up. All of it's there. I'm not saying no. I wish the offense was more diverse and interesting, more movement, etc. But I'm humble enough to recognize that whatever they did last year worked. It was smash mouth basketball, but it worked. And they can get back to that. It's the same damn personnel. So just they got to perform. I believe that players have free will, as it were. Coaches are really important. Players play. I've seen enough from Thibs to know that what he's teaching and what he's doing works to a large degree if executed properly. Again, I'm not saying there aren't things that Thibs can't do better, and I am the first one to point them out, and I point them out all the time. This game is not about the offensive system, it's about performing. I'm not suggesting, Julian, you were blaming it the whole game on Thibs or anything. I'm ranting a bit, but I do want to make that point. I believe this offense could be more interesting, diverse, dynamic. I also recognize that the offense worked to a large extent last year and can work again this year if Julius Randle becomes Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, to a lesser extent, gets back to himself as well. And hell, RJ Barrett plays. That's important too. Thank you, Juanon. TK is back. I know it's still early, but this is the same exact team from last year outside of DDV, and everyone looks so lost on offense. It's quite baffling. I don't think RJ Barrett looks lost. I don't think Mitchell Robinson looks lost. I don't think Immanuel Quickley looks lost. I think DiVincenzo is increasingly not looking lost. He looks pretty good, moving and cutting and doing what he does and shooting. I think Randle and Josh Hart are the two guys that I have seen who look a little lost right now. And I think with Josh Hart, it's probably the role change. He came in last year like a cannonball, and he came in and he took over that closing role, and he was the small forward, and everything went well. Everything went perfectly well the moment he arrived. It was a bit of a fantasy land. And now you bring in some increased competition. RJ's gunning for those minutes. Grimes is gunning for some of those minutes. Quickly's gunning for those minutes. He's gone down 5 minutes or so a game. what's his role, who's he playing with, which lineups. Like it has been a bit of an adjustment for Josh Hart. And Randle, we've talked about. I don't think everyone looks lost. I don't. I think a lot of guys are doing their jobs, and it's just about a couple of the important ones who need to find their way. And I don't think Brunson looks lost. I think he's just got to kind of find his game again. Thanks, TK. TK, hesitant on open shots or just a bad shot? I assume you're asking about Randle. I'm going to take this as a question about Randle. Is he hesitant on open shots or just taking bad shots? I think I'm more concerned about the hesitancy than the bad shots, as I said earlier. Like, I think Randle makes a lot of tough shots. He takes some bad shots. He's cut out a lot of his bad shots. And his threes are like okay shots. They go in 34, 35% of the time when he's right. We rebound about 30% of them when we're right. And that is a good formula. So I don't think his threes are bad shots. I just think he has to shoot them instead of like the other stuff we're seeing, which is spinning, turnovers, getting blocked at the rim 100 times a game. That's the stuff that concerns me. That's the stuff that this offense cannot survive with. It can survive with him shooting. We've seen it. Thanks, TK. Abraham. It's a great name. Great man. He says, I miss RJ Barrett. I miss RJ Barrett too, as I said. And it's cool to miss RJ Barrett, isn't it? Because he's been playing really well. And that's exciting. That's really exciting. It's just asking a lot of Jalen Brunson, who's often up to the task. In fact, had an entire postseason where he was up to the task. Although RJ supported him well for most of the playoffs, but like Randle was absent. You're asking so much of Jalen Brunson to operate in an environment with no spacing because Julius isn't providing the spacing anymore either, and Josh Hart's out there, and Mitch is out there. Just asking an incredible amount of a 6-footer to like create every shot for you when Quickley's not out there with him. RJ Barrett creates good offense for this team. Gets in that paint, makes his passes, makes his shots, gets to the line, does all the things that RJ Barrett does. Shoots willingly from 3, unlike Josh Hart. So, yeah, I miss him too. Hopefully he's all right. And he'll be back next game. That's the plan anyway. Thanks, Abraham. Dominic Manzi. What's up, Dom? Thank you so much for this contribution. We appreciate it. One adjustment I'd like to see is Grimes be the first player subbed out or swapping him and DDV entirely. Grimes needs volume. The defensive drop-off isn't enough to warrant the diminishing returns on offense. DDV is better for spacing for the starters. I've thought about this, Dom. It is very interesting. Grimes has, I think, the unfortunate distinction in some ways of being the only role player who exclusively plays with Brunson and Randle at all times. He's played a total of 8 possessions. Looked it up today. He's played a total of 8 possessions without both of those guys on the floor this year in 5 games. And they were both like kind of garbage-ish time. Like, he plays with really ball-dominant guys, and mostly with RJ too, by the way. And he basically sits in the corner and waits. That's really hard because he comes out at basically towards the end of the first quarter when the bench starts coming in, and then he comes back in at the end of halves when the starters are all back in. So to your point, of course he'd benefit playing with the second unit. He'd get more shots, they move the ball better, it's more free-flowing, less isolation, more pace, so he might get some transition threes. It's tough that he doesn't get that opportunity. I would love to see him get some minutes with the second unit. And I don't think it's crazy to bring DDV in early. I think Thibs really likes that lineup, and I think by the end of the year, this bench unit of DDV, Hart, Quick, Hartenstein, plus either RJ or Brunson is going to be one of the best second units in the league. I just think it's that good. They just changed games every time they're out there. I don't know if Thibs is going to mess with that. you know, it does, that lineup does call for like kind of one more scorer, which is why Thibs likes to run RJ out there or Brunson out there with them, with that foursome I just mentioned. And Grimes doesn't provide that, right? Like he's not a creative scorer. So I don't see them making that change. But I agree. I would like them to find a way to kind of divvy up the minutes so that Grimes does get some opportunity instead of DDV in that second unit. That would be interesting. So you get him out early maybe, right? And you get DDV in earlier, and then Grimes maybe re-enters earlier while the second unit is still out there. I'm not against it. I think that's a really observant and interesting observation, Dom. So good on you. Totally supportive of it. I'd love to see it. Try it and see how it goes early in the season. Dom's back. Also, if Drew can't start knocking down the three, no one is going to have enough space to do anything. Bingo! Dart. Nachon. Crushed it. Correct. Absolutely. There's no space in this offense if Julius is just standing there pump faking out of threes. None. Brunson's in a coffin. Brunson's trying to dribble through like one of those crawl spaces. There's nowhere to go. You're already dealing with Mitch in the dunker spot that people load off of. No one's going to ever be like super glued to RJ on the three-point line. Josh Hart's out there, even worse. He doesn't even want to shoot it. That's why Julius needs to be a willing, volume-based three-point shooter. Just let it fly, big fella. Let it fly. It's better for the offense. Not always going to look pretty. He's going to brick many of them. But I'm telling you guys, it's healthy for him to shoot 8 a game. Crazy as it sounds. Welcome to the modern NBA. Thanks, Dom. Mernikin. Mr. Nikin.
Mr. NYKN.
What does that mean?
Actually, it's not NYK. It's like NK.
NKYN. MRNKYN, all in capitals.
All right. Mernernikin. We'll go with what you said.
Thank you for the contribution, whoever you are. We appreciate it. And I'm sure it stands for something very important. Staying on Randall Island at this point is a Stockholm Syndrome by definition. The indifference and lack of effort on the defensive end is deflating. Yeah. He is a maddening, frustrating basketball player. And we've been with him so long now. It's kind of like if you had a girlfriend early in life who you knew there were issues. You knew, but you were in high school and you enjoyed having a girlfriend and you stayed together for like years. But the issues only got more irritating as the years went on. Maybe I don't know if others had this scenario, but I think it's a scenario that people go through. That's Julius Randle. It's like we've been here 4 years now. Well, yeah, 4 years now. 4 years now. And it's been, some of the hustle isn't there at times. The focus, the attention to detail, not there. It's freaking infuriating. It's infuriating. But you know what? When he's got it going, he's really good. And it's really fun to be around him. When he's making buzzer beaters against Miami. Like, he helps you get through the day. Gets you some wins. But like, yeah, he is and always has been and always probably will be an infuriating basketball player to watch and root for. But we need him. Until he's not here anymore. For better or for worse. So you know Randall Island, like as a Knick fan, your ship is wrecked. You are on that island until someone comes and rescues you. Like we're all on Randall Island. We can't get out. This is where we are, man. Shipwrecked on Randall Island. Might as well enjoy it. Sit in the sun for a bit. Have a margarita. I don't know. What are you going to do? A lot of metaphors in that answer. Thanks, Markkinen. Appreciate it. Mangu Man. Thanks for the contribution, Mangu Man. Nights like this, Julius Randle needs to get some screens and roll with purpose for easy buckets. IQ was forced to launch a terrible three because JR refused to roll. Yes, this is a very, very astute point. Julius too often half-asses a screen, doesn't really roll, doesn't really pop, just kind of sits there demanding the ball. Sometimes after a game like this, guys don't want to throw him the ball because he's stunk all game. 100%. I will say, it's hard to roll when guys are playing super off of Mitch in the dunker spot and Evan Mobley's just waiting for him. And I think that's probably why he's not rolling. But I agree with you nonetheless. He needs to roll. He needs to be more decisive and active as a screener. He needs to actually try to screen somebody. Do something, man. Thing with Randle is when he's not scoring, everything goes away. Everything goes away. The defense isn't the same. The switching isn't the same. The screening isn't the same. The offensive rebounding isn't the same. He's not getting to the line. He's doing nothing. This kind of game is so damaging because he doesn't do anything well. Freaking irritating. But we're on Randall Island all together, doing the hurrah. Mega Man's back. Nights like this. Oh, sorry, that was the same one. Dom Cappuccini. What's up, Dom? Hey, Dom. Hope all's well, man. I'll say it. The team shooting let them off the hook. D seems fine. If it's rock bottom for O, it will be no problem. It's hard believing that now. Amen. Amen. The team shooting was terrible, horrendous, horrific, awful. The team was too hesitant to shoot. That's not just Randle. That's Josh Hart. That's Quentin Grimes at times. DiVincenzo passed up a few. Gotta let it fly, boys. Let it fly. Shots on goal. The D seems, I wouldn't say fine. D seems really good. Defense looks really good, man. They added, Mitch I think has taken a step, at least what we've seen so far. Hartenstein looks great on the back line. So you already have 48 minutes of backline rim protection and aggressive rim protection at times. And they're also blitzing and hedging more. It's just their centers look great on defense. What they've added in DiVincenzo is a guy who takes some risks and gets out of position at times, but he wreaks some havoc, man. Causes a lot of turnovers, gets his hands on the ball. I think it's very healthy for this defense to have a guy like him because it's a very conservative defense generally, and they have a lot of guys who don't force turnovers. DiVincenzo adds a little unpredictability, but he also adds turnover generation, and that's a really healthy thing. I think this defense can be really good. My prediction before the season was that the defense would enter the top 10 and the offense would potentially drop out of the top 10. So far, I look like I was right. I'm hoping the offense gets a little better than this. Holy crap. But I am very pleased with the defense. I think it's looked really, really good. Absolutely done. David Gretter. Fug with a G. It. Randall for Giannis. Who says no? Mm-hmm. Who says no? You think we can get Thanasis back? Maybe that's the move. Thanks, David. Guber then didn't mean too much of this team specifically. Meant too much Knicks teams in general. Being 40, I know bad vibes because I've seen a lot of them over the years. You're saying you know a thing or two because you've seen a thing or two. Like J.K. Simmons. Man, you make 40 sound really old. You're not that old. 40's young. 40's the new 28. But honestly, as a 31-year-old Knicks fan, we've all seen too much. We've all seen too much. We all got the PTSD going quick. The second things start going a little haywire. Rightfully so, understandably so. We have seen the worst of the worst of the worst. Which should also, although it makes you scared that you can get back to that place, but you also have to have the perspective that we're not. We're not in that place. We're not in that place. Team's got a lot of good players doing a lot of things well. A lot of players performing really well. Just got to get our top guys on track. Got to get our top guys on track. Thanks, Guber, then. Sam Garcia's dad. What is up, Sam Garcia's dad? What is up, Sam Garcia? What is up, the whole Garcia family? He says, I can't wait till Spida is a Knick and we don't have to worry about finding some scoring. Good job tonight, Benjy. Thank you so much. I should say it's always an honor to be here with you guys. It's an honor to be here with you guys. It's an honor to be here with GMAC. It's an honor to sit in John's seat virtually, as it were, because that guy's great at what he does. And I'm just happy to fill in. Hope I'm entertaining enough, providing some insights, and trying to take the edge off of a game that was honestly like watching two pigs wrestle. You can't wait till Spider's a Knick. He might be. He might be, because as the players come off the board here, Giannis seems to be a non-option. Embiid, I've seen from smart people that they think that the Harden trade and what they got back possibly makes it less likely that he'll ask out or come out or ever be traded. And the Knicks are not there. At some point, they're going to take the gamble if they don't think they can get one of these top line guys. That is the end game. As much as we don't want to talk about it because we like to enjoy the basketball, and I'm like first on that train. Like, I don't want to talk about like the next star because like this is a good basketball team and they're fun to watch and there's what to learn, what to study. But once we get into that conversation, man, like Luka, if things keep going sour in Dallas, is that the guy? I mean, hell, if they could, that is the guy. If you can try to go get him, then you're gonna try. They're gonna put everything into it. But if they keep striking out on the big names, at some point, like Mitchell's gonna keep, I think he's gonna want to come here. Like, they can probably get him. It's and your offense will get a lot better. That guy is quite good. You see some of the flaws tonight. He's an interesting player, man, because like when he's a little tired and things aren't going as well, he just settles for a lot of threes. Second half, he just chucked a lot of threes, but he's an uber talent in the league offensively. And like we all talked about when the rumors were strong that he was on his way, how does that look with Brunson? Defensively, he's a bit challenged. It's a very small team. What do you build around that? Him and Garland is already that kind of pairing and doesn't seem to have the ceiling that they're hoping for. So I don't know. A lot of complicated questions, but your offense will get better immediately upon his arrival. And I do not think it is out of the question that he becomes a Knick in the next couple of years. Thanks, Sam Garcia's dad. Guber then's back. Thanks, man. Always nice to when guys come back to ask some more. So, Benjy, you think our team practices pump faking out of open threes? I'll hang up and listen. It does seem like it. Sometimes it's not even a pump fake. They just swing the ball to a less open player, which is even more infuriating, man. What are you doing? Shoot the basketball. Otherwise, we're going to have to bring Evan Fournier back. He'll shoot it, man. He'll shoot it. Like, he's not going to hesitate. We don't want to do that because this formula worked last year. We just have to get back to it, man. Just got to get back to it. Thanks, Guber, then. Joseph J. Joseph, thank you for the contribution, my friend. Players were ice cold and hesitant, but I can't help think a different coach's offensive system would have grinded out a win. What would you implement that Thibs does not? Would it have been a closer game? Okay, well, if you're asking specifically, I think they could run more off-ball stuff. I think they could use screeners off the ball, especially Mitch, to get him out of the paint, simultaneous with pick-and-roll actions to try to get Randle rolling, try to get Mitch out of the paint for periods of time. I think they should do more ghost screening, which is like if a guy like Grimes would screen for Brunson, and instead of rolling into space, ghost the screen. Don't actually set the screen, just pop to the other side of the floor, try to create a switch, try to create an advantage. The Celtics do this incredibly well. I think Brunson would take such advantage of that if they ever just did it enough. That's another thing I wish they'd do more. Floppy actions for Grimes I think would be interesting, which means just like running off screens from the baseline, trying to find shots that way. And DiVincenzo for that matter. screen the screener actions. A lot of the stuff out of OKC's playbook I think are really interesting. The way they utilize spacing and the way they open things up for Shea could be adopted. Running things through Hartenstein at the elbows, running things through Julius at the elbows more than they do. All of those things. Tapping into more Spain actions, but using your shooters instead of Randle. Something I've talked about a lot. I think could be a good action for them if they actually set the back screen for Mitch and got him rolling. And then had a shooter like Quickley or Grimes popping to the perimeter. I'd like to see all of that if I had my druthers. But I concede that some of this stuff would probably lead to more turnovers. I also concede that, again, they had a really excellent offense last year. You can't argue. Like, it was brutally effective. So, yeah, I'd love to see all that. I like watching that kind of stuff. I find it more interesting to watch. And this may be like the most primitive way to score baskets is just like, well, not really because it's a lot of threes, but you know what I mean. It's like just beat the living hell out of the other team and force the ball into the rim one way or another. But they can do it well. So yeah, maybe if they ran some more advanced stuff, they could have had a better offensive game, but maybe not. Maybe it would have been even worse. I don't know. It's a hypothetical. And again, like the data supports the fact that this offense can be very good. So I'm gonna, I'm humble enough to recognize that all these ideas in my head that I would implement if I was on that sideline, like, may or may not work. But those are the kinds of things that I do think about, Joseph. Thank you so much. Robert Cross. BTB. Big Thread Ben. That's what it stands for, right, Andrew? This crap is still going on. I just got out of my therapy appointment. Good timing given the throw-up we witnessed tonight. What do I do with that? Hope it was a good therapy appointment. It was a throw up tonight. It was. And we got to just flush it down the toilet. What do you do with throw up, guys? What do? You flush it. Unless it's in a bag, in which case you throw it in the garbage. But that's the same result. You get rid of it. Out of mind, out of sight. Zoom out. We're okay. Need our guys to perform up to their capabilities. That's all. I think they will. Maybe. I think Brunson definitely will, and I'm a little concerned about Julius, if I'm being honest. But we'll, that is what it is. All right, that's the last question. Terrific. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to the KFS podcast feed later, please leave a 5-star review and rating. It has been an honor and a privilege to be here with you tonight. Somehow I get every time I do this, it's after some absolute crusher of a game. Not even like the crusher that's like exciting but crushing. It's more just like the awful, awful basketball games. I think John knows it, and that's why he puts me up here. And I want to tell John that I still appreciate it. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for being here. Andrew, you want to come up here and if you got something to say?
Yeah, just one thing for those of you that aren't completely defeated by this basketball team and you live in New York City. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to you, Benjy, but for those of you in the city that want to come watch the game against the Bucks on Friday, join us at Midtown at Penn 6, 132 West 31st Street. It's a stone's throw away from Madison Square Garden. We will be doing a watch party. It's a $20. If you $20 covers your food for the night. There's also going to be drink specials. That's $20 in advance. The link to RSVP and to sign up is in the description of this episode. Or it's $25 at the door. So if you want to just come on Friday night, that's the price. Again, we'll be there around 7 o'clock for the 7:30 tip. Come hang out with the KFS crew as the Knicks begin the in-season tournament against the Milwaukee Bucks.
I totally forgot about that. That starts this coming Friday night is in-season tournament?
Their next game is the in-season tournament.
Where's the game?
Milwaukee.
It's going to be on some crazy green court or whatever?
Some ass court, yes.
That's crazy. I saw that Sean with a W was saying that this event is an opportunity to go at him about any of his takes.
Yes.
And I think that in and of itself may be reason enough to show up because he's got some crazy takes.
Takes. Indeed.
He's got takes.
The man of takes.
A man
of many takes.
A man of principles and takes.
Yes.
So, yeah, you all should go. I'm sorry I won't be there, but I'll make the next one. Enjoy it.
We'll schedule it on a Saturday.
Yeah. Appreciate
we'll try
that.
to at least.
Man. Sorry about the technical difficulties, Andrew, you, and to the whole community out here.
It went great.
Par for the course. Appreciate y'all.
Don't forget who I normally work with, Benji. You're good.
I know. All right. Talk to everybody soon. Have a good night. Flush it down the toilet.